The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
I think I've always believed in the paranormal. But the deeper I get in this field, the more questions I uncover. I started a program called Seeking the Paranormal in an effort to gain insight and dialogue from others interested in the same things as me. And while we've learned a lot together, the questions still remain. So I'm bringing my thoughts to the airwaves, and I've brought along my friends, Adam and John, to share in the fun. Together, we'll tackle the tough topics and debate the evidence as we continue to seek the paranormal.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's Sarah, Adam, and John. We are in the middle of the coronavirus madness and figured if you were going to be stuck in your house, you might as well be stuck watching us. So here we are. Tonight, we are going to talk about narratives. And John is an expert on this because... Whoa, I just hit something. He has written a book, Leaps of Faith, Ghost Hunting and Objectivity by J.M. Black. If you go on to our Facebook, it's pinned to the top. Very easy way to find it on Amazon. Order it, read it, give him feedback. He will love it. Anyway, a lot of it talks about narratives in paranormal field, and there's way too much of it. Way too much of it. And so tonight we kind of wanted to address some of that, some of our favorites, and talk a little bit about that. First, everybody healthy?
Sure.
What did you say, John?
So far.
Well, that is good. That's what we ask for. I work for an ambulance service, so probably of the three of us, I'll be the first one to get sick. Also, I took my daughter to Mall of America when everybody said, no, don't go. And I did it anyway. So what are you going to do?
Not much for the cost.
Right. So, anything new with you guys?
Not really. I'm working away.
Barrel of monkeys, two of you.
Yeah, well, it's been kind of boring. We haven't had a lot going on.
It's true.
Unfortunately.
What do you guys think of all this mess? Well, yeah, exactly. What do you guys think of everything that's going on? What are your thoughts? Let's talk coronavirus real quick.
Well, so I always watch Sky News, the English Sky News back here, and they're about a week ahead, and they were reporting on Italy for another week ahead. So basically, I'm watching what's coming. In about 10 days to 14 days. So, that's how I keep up with it.
Well, I am not. What is coming?
It can get bad. I mean, really bad. So, the UK Health Ministry, they put out a warning that if action isn't taken, the death toll could be up to 4 million.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You are still really warbly.
Not good.
Adam, can you hear him okay?
It's choppy would be the word I would use.
Is it Skype connection?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what I sound like, I guess. Is it like not loud enough or breaking up?
Well, and now you're better, so who the hell knows? I don't know. We'll give it a go here, see what happens, and make the best of it.
Might be the internet connection.
That's true, too. So, John, are you making any changes right now with what's going on, or are you still just living day-to-day life?
Well, I'm forced to. My number one contract is Methwick, which is a retirement campus. So, yeah, they're on lockdown pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big thing. And they've closed all the bars now. So I got real popular yesterday because everybody knows they've got a bar.
I bet. So I never go anywhere. So all the bars are closed. Our restaurants mostly closed except for drive-thrus and carry-out.
Yep.
I was keeping Adam abreast yesterday of all the restaurants that were sending emails about their new free delivery charge. So lots of options if you were looking to still carry food out.
Are they using like Grubhub or?
Some of them were offering free delivery on Grubhub. Some of them were just offering free delivery through their services. I mean, anybody who's got any type of delivery pretty much is offering, like Pizza Hut's offering 10 to 50% off their menu items. Domino's offering 50% off. I don't know. It's a crazy time right now. And I will tell you, Monday I was...
You survive the virus and have a heart attack instead.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Monday, I was really kind of feeling the stress of it, I guess. I almost was a little excited about, what's going to happen and getting a little nervous. And today is Wednesday. I'm not feeling it as so much, but I also haven't tried to go to like any store or restaurant or anything to really experience the fact that nobody is anywhere. I did go to the doctor for a med check today, and interestingly enough, I sent Adam a video. I went around the room. I was literally the only person in the waiting room, and even the urgent care parking lot was empty, which I expected to be full, but it was not.
I mean, like I say, it's early days here at the moment. I mean, there's 22 infections in Iowa is all.
Yeah.
But this thing is horribly infectious. So, like I say, if we ain't careful, and they're starting to report too in Europe that there are younger people dying from it too. So, you never know.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of people with underlying problems that they didn't even know they had.
Yeah. As I mentioned, I work for an ambulance service, so they are constantly on CDC and keeping up with those updates and how they have to treat people and so on and so forth. And I'm a dispatcher, but all of the drivers and EMTs and paramedics come through and they're always talking to me and I handle their paperwork. And, if they get it, I'm going to. It's just the way it is. But, because I went out of state this last weekend, I went to Minnesota, I now have to have my temperature taken every day that I work for the next 2 weeks. And if it gets over 100.3, I'm not allowed to be there. So I was at 99.5, I think, yesterday. So as long as I can't, and sometimes I run high. So as long as I can keep my temp down, I can keep working. And Adam has had an empty shop. People aren't fixing their cars. Of course, it's tax time right now. It's normal for you guys too.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's a little bit excessive right now. I think you got a combination of both things kind of hitting right now. But, oh well, is what it is.
Gas prices are nice though, right?
Right. There you go.
Well, oil's cheap now because Russia and Saudi Arabia are having the price war. God bless them.
Which is no complaints here, although I'm sure there's a lot of more repercussions to that I'll regret later. But flights are cheap. Everything's cheap right now.
Yeah.
We've had... Yeah. And it's too bad. I've seen a lot of places have been canceling paranormal tours and events. American Hauntings just had to refund some people for an event, which is too bad. The Granger House is still open. We never really have groups over, I think they're recommending 10 there now. And, we do a really good job of trying to clean and disinfect everything. So you guys will hear this on Monday. It's Wednesday now. If you guys are looking for a place to investigate and everybody else is kind of leaving you out in the cold, definitely look up the Granger House. We'd be happy to have you. Anyway.
Take their temperatures first, though.
Right? That'll be how you have to get in the door. We'll be taking temperatures, please.
That'll be awkward for me on Saturday.
What?
That'll be awkward for me on Saturday.
I think it will be.
Taking temperatures?
Taking temperatures, yeah.
I didn't mean rectally. How's that awkward?
Oh, I didn't realize you were coming, John.
Well, I will if you're taking the temperature.
Oh, my God.
Oh, baby boy.
The sad thing about this is that this is going to, unfortunately, it's going to negatively impact our economy huge. And I feel really bad for, with the Granger House didn't have the paranormal aspect, we wouldn't probably have much money coming in right now because tours will definitely be down because people are scared to go places. But, other places, and I'll use Brucemore and Cedar Rapids as a prime example, they refuse to acknowledge the paranormal community. And for that, then they've pretty much cut off any opportunity they have to bring some money in during these times. So kind of sucks for them. It's their choice, obviously, and I'm sure that I guess I don't know. I hope that they have money in reserve to be able to make it through this, but there's a lot of organizations that are similar to the Granger House that, I hope they're able to get through it as well.
Yeah, even the big guys are screaming that they're going to be broke by the end of April, like the airlines and such, which, I've always found it curious, because I'm not from here. So Americans hate the word socialist and don't want socialism. Unless it's a big company, then you'll bail them out. You'll be socialist to big companies, but not to people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
I agree. Well, and I will tell you what, I'm not quite swept up in the panic yet, so I had almost thought about going and visiting our son. However, he's in Seattle, and Washington is getting it the worst right now, so that would be really stupid of me to fly out there right now.
If you can get a plane.
Oh my gosh, flights are like, what'd I tell you, $65?
You said it was $49 the other day to Nashville.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Flights are so stinking cheap right now. If you want to go on vacation and you aren't scared, now's the time to do it. I tell you what.
Well, I was talking to someone that went to Florida on vacation. They're coming home because they shut everything down. So even if you go somewhere, it's going to be, there's nothing open. What do you
I just need a beach. You just give me a beach.
Beaches are closed.
I will find my little piece of sand.
They sell that at Menards if that's all you need.
Sure they do.
Put down a top in a swimming pool.
Of course, now Menards is getting in trouble possibly for price gouging for cleaning supplies. I just read that.
Yeah. We looked up on Amazon.
Well,
like $57 for a hand cleaner. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I saw that. And, honestly, you can make your own hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes. Pinterest, folks, look into it. It's got all kinds of fun tips.
Yeah. What I do, just drink a lot and then sweat 7% proof.
I think that's fantastic.
Well, and actually, I was telling Sarah earlier today that there's a company here in Marion called Echo Lips, and they make chapstick. And Cedar Ridge Winery, they're going to start making hand sanitizer, and said they will be just giving it to people. So that's kind of cool.
I love that they're doing that.
Yeah. But
there's too many people.
Wow. I don't know. How many people are going to drink it?
I mean, shit, I could have a problem too. I will be honest. The most I've gotten caught up in this is I did order a ton of groceries because I am scared that the stores are going to close. Although Walmart and Hy-Vee both deliver, and you can do carry out, so I think that portion may stay open. But things could get really dicey if the grocery stores close. I actually told Adam to go get more ammunition. Just worst case scenario, we get to end of days here where people are losing their minds looking for food.
I don't think it'll quite get that bad.
I don't think so either, but I like to
Too much Walking Dead there, I think.
Actually, the History Channel had a mini series a few years ago that I believe was called End of Days. And God, maybe I'm getting two things confused, but I think it actually focused a little bit more on like the Bible and stuff, but it also showed what would happen here if the grid went down and how that would contribute to it. And I don't ever want to live in a time that looks anything like that miniseries showed when the grid went down.
Well, the problem with the grid going down is then you don't have refrigerators and freezers, and that could be a problem. So, and then you get no internet, no TV, so now you've got no communication, no command and control, right, at least to the civilian population. So, yeah, the nutcases are going to be coming out of the woodwork and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
They say civilization's only 2 miles deep. I mean, that's true. You saw that in Hurricane Katrina. People just lost their minds. So, I got swords. I'm good.
There you go. After I watched End of Days, I went and got a solar-powered cell phone charger. And we have hand can openers, so we don't have the electric ones, so we'll still be able to get in cans, and I can charge my phone, which probably won't work, but I can still charge it.
I was going to say, if the grid goes down, the towers won't be working.
Listen,
I'll be
able to charge my phone.
And I'll have games to play.
That's right.
When I get bored.
All right, well, speaking of end of days, not end of our days, but goes by. Thanks. So, John, in your book, you talk a lot about narratives. You want to kind of spearhead this off right away and give us.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, and it's interesting to me. I guess I come at this thing a lot different than most people. I find that a lot of investigators don't really go to do an investigation, they go to experience something. And they all, in their own mind, have an idea of what is actually happening. So instead of, it's kind of cart before the horse. So instead of them investigating to find out what's happening, what they're doing is they go in there, experiencing stuff, and then making it fit to their idea of what's happening, if you see what I mean. And it's really interesting when you watch groups as to what they all think is happening and how far along in their belief they are, or how much of a narration that they've either read or constructed, or, and some of them are really out there. It's like, follow in, So, I guess that's where to me, the narration is it gets in the way. I try and leave everything at the door. Now, I read them. I still go, I think it's this. But that's absolutely no reason to think that because, but you fill in the blanks. We do. That's what we do. But, I kind of, and it's fun. I have a fun reading. I try not to ruin anybody else's, but that's rubbish. But when we actually sit down and go through it all in the lab and I calm down, and I'm actually doing the research behind it, that's when I fall back and go, wait a minute, why do I think this? What's happening with this? So it's, we get everything from, people believe that spirits can't cross over, even though we don't know what crossing over really means. Going into the light, the burning sage, taking people home with you, shadow people, and that all together, that's a lot of stuff.
So I was going to ask, first of all, why is your dragon moving above your head? Let's address that.
That's the Joker.
Joker's moving your dragon?
It's because the furnace is on.
Oh, okay. I was like, is that moving? And then the more I watch it, I'm like, it is.
If you don't flap his wings, he falls down.
That's fair. That's
He's
fair.
getting ready to attack.
He's going to light my cigarette.
I would like to know what you guys think is the most harmful narrative currently in the paranormal community.
So that's a tough question. Jeez. That's deep.
I mean, I'm like that.
Wow. Probably any place that is giving out false history. I think false history is probably worse than a lot of things, in my opinion, because when people do go in with that preconceived notion of something that's not even true, then all of a sudden it becomes true. If you follow what I'm saying.
I do.
All right.
John, what do you think?
The part that gets up my nose a bit is, I mean, some people either, have mental issues or they have, they're less confident or, they have some kind of issue. And people that prey on that, that's what I don't like. When they start, then all of a sudden, it becomes like a cult, and I think it's Harry Christ that said, it's like the investigation doesn't make any money, it costs money. The cycles make money.
Yeah.
People doing the spiritualism are making a lot of money, and the people actually doing the science aren't. Because there was another author, and I can't remember his name now, but he's written a couple of debunk books, and they sell well in Europe. He cannot find a publisher in the US to sell his books because the publishers have said nobody wants to read it. Nobody, that's not, people aren't going to buy it. Nobody wants to do it. So he can't, he's self-published, but I'll have to go find it anyway.
Yeah, I do.
I found that kind of interesting that, so, I mean, I guess as far as what harm can it be, but it could be, pretty harmful and changing people's perception of what's real and making them believe things that aren't true.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's just my personal opinion. To me, that's one of the worst things you can do to a person. Is,
I totally agree. I totally agree. So I liked your guys' answer. You went a different route than what I was thinking, but that's fine too. I like where you both went with that. I was thinking more along the lines of orbs. With the digital photography coming into becoming a tool, so came orbs, crossing people over. You guys mentioned that. Demons, people, why they're here. So I think I've mentioned before, this started as, I always say class, but it wasn't really class. It was more of a discussion that I held at the Granger House once a month where I would do a presentation on a paranormal topic. And one of my topics was, why are ghosts here? And I covered, some of the main reasons people think that ghosts exist. Whether that's because they have unfinished business or they died a tragic death, maybe don't know that they're passed on, still think that they're living. I mean, and these are all really big narratives that I think direct a lot of how we do things in this field. And when I say we, I don't mean the three of us. I mean like the field in general. I can think of a group in particular where I've seen them and always assume, and I shouldn't say always assume, but, they might go in somewhere and assume that there's a little girl there and she's stuck there and she's scared and it's their duty to move her along when we don't have any indication that any of that's true.
But that's just it. It's always the same tropes, though. You go anywhere, and it's always going to be there's a little girl there, and there's always an evil dude, a guy there that's a dark, sinister type of thing, and it's always the same tropes over and over and over again. I find, when I go to these places,
Right.
So, I mean, and like I said, you're right. It's the story getting in the way of what we do, of actually doing any investigation. So,
right.
I like thinking about what they could be in this and coming up with an idea of it, but then the next step is to test that or try to, and see, well, if this is true, then that should happen, and then do that thing and see if you get a feedback on it. What do I know?
Things have changed so much for me over probably the past, I don't know, year and a half maybe, since I've kind of become affiliated with John, and he's brought a different perspective than what we're used to getting. And as I've mentioned before, since we've been doing this show, I've really started to reflect on what I believe and why I believe it. And that has changed some. Now, I don't know that I ever bought into the fact that I thought people were stuck here. I don't know why they would be. That's silly to me. And as a Christian, it's not my responsibility to move them on. I can't do anything God can't do. And so that's why it really drives me up a wall when people say, oh, we're going to help move them on, or, claim to help move on spirits. That's not your place. It's just not. Like, God bless. I love some people who say that they're doing it, but that shit gets at me. It just really does. And psychics, especially, who say that, oh, we're going to help move them on. No, that's not, no matter, I don't mean to go on.
No, but here's a question for you. So let's say that all of that is real, and these people really can move them on. Now, we go places where we go regularly and groups go regularly, and how many of these people have been there that said, we're going to help you move on, but these places are still supposedly haunted? So has it ever worked? Is the next question.
Well, and that was, I really, of all the shows, the only one that I ever really watch anymore is Dead Files. And just partially because I like the history part of things. I don't know what to make of Amy Allen sometimes. Sometimes I think she just has so much information that I would like to have, but most of the time I look at it and I'm like, are you just making this all up? Like, I don't understand. Like, I think she might be a gifted psychic, but, when they're sitting down at the table and she's telling people what they have to do, I'm like, are you pulling this out of your ass, or where does this come from? But she has gone to some places, some businesses, the Lizzie Borden house. Yeah. Well, she's got Lizzie Borden house as an example of some place that she has gone. Now, the owners did say that they had no intention of following what she said to do. And I know that she pissed off the people at Belisca when she tried to help them, tell them what to do with the spirits that were there. But there are places that she has gone that she's told them what they need to do. And, the little clip at the end that tells you what the update is will say, oh, they're in the process of looking for somebody to help them do such and such. But then people are still booking investigations at these places. Mm-hmm. Now, number one, if you don't like the place being paranormal, I don't know why you're profiting off of it. But number two, I agree with you, John. Then why? Why any of that? Clearly it's fake and it doesn't work if there's still a reason for people to come and investigate there.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever got a letter, let's say, from the Belisca house saying, oh, I'm sorry, we had someone come by and clean so it's not haunted anymore. That's never going to happen, is it?
No, because the place would unfortunately probably end up being torn down.
Yeah.
I mean,
or rented to a normal family, like it was. See, that's the other thing the ex-murder house that they don't tell you is it's been rented for, they tore it all back to the way it looked.
Sure.
It was rented out for years and years and nobody had a problem living there. That's the problem I have with these places and things like that. So, I mean, it's a fun evening out for people. I don't want to ruin it, but I guess, my rant was always when they start saying they're investigators and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, no, you're not. I get why you do it, and that's fine, but don't try and tell me things because,
Yeah. Well, and I don't watch the shows, but Kindred Spirits, I know was at, why am I dumb right now? Where are we going? Waverly. Good Lord. And supposedly came into contact with, what was it, the third or fourth floor, Adam? I can't remember. Came into contact with this man who was mad about his wife that had been there, and there's this whole backstory that only Kindred Spirits was able to figure out. And my impression in the show was that they had tried to, quote unquote, ease his pain. Those aren't their words, but I mean, essentially ease his pain. But when you go through and you take the tour, they tell you about that story and encourage you to try to reach out to this guy. That's conflicting to me.
It's a story. I mean, that's the thing. And it's really hard. That's why, I guess I said in the book, I say, do some history, but don't go too far into it. Do it after you've been an investigator, because really the only thing you need to know is, why is this place considered haunted? What's been seen? Now, once they start telling you all kinds of details and everything else, you take them all with a grain of salt, because, that's the thing. It's people's interpretations of stuff, and all of a sudden you're going to be all over the place, chasing your own tail on things that probably never happened.
Right.
It's the problem. That's what's damaging, is when you get people making this stuff up. And they might not be doing it on purpose or anything, it's their imagination going wild, and to them it's true, it happened, but they have no footing as to say, no, I can prove that it happened, because it's always, it was just a feeling, or, stuff like that. So, and that builds up in layers, and, the place gets investigated for like 10 years. That's a lot of lore that's surrounded in this place that you've got to pick through,
Which, my group made fun of me last year when we went Waverly because the amount of research I did about the place, I mean, they all thought I was a little kooky, I think. I can tell you, I've got notes on what every floor was used for, the areas where, this happened here and so forth, and not stories of, somebody was killed here. I don't have those kinds of stories. Like Edinburgh, I get in the newspapers and I look for things. Now, I never found the nurse who hung herself, but when we were given the tour, they said that they had newspaper articles. Now, we are fixing to go back there in May, which is coming up so unbelievably fast. And before we go, I'd like to see if I can find those articles, because without them, and that's one of the biggest stories at Waverly, is the nurse who hung herself on the top floor. Is that the fourth floor? I think so.
Yeah, it's the fourth floor, because the fifth floor is the half a floor.
That's right.
And
that's right. So, without that, that's just a myth. That's just a story that we tell.
It's a lot of it's with the internet age, a lot of it's what they call it creepypasta. It's just throw something up that's kind of spooky. But the trouble is that all gets folded into the dough. And you don't know, is that supposed to be in there? Is that real? I don't know.
Well, it's like the lady in white at the Granger house. You look online, and the only thing you can, and not now, because I'm trying to make, a place where people can share truths, but if you looked up the Granger house being haunted, everything always talked about this lady in white that showed up at midnight. Well, it all just rhymed nicely, I think. That's about it. It's non-existent. There are mannequins in the building. I mean, and the shades are drawn every night. What?
Yep.
It's one with a white dress on.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And it has been in front of the window.
Yep. No.
So
I do that on purpose. And then I'd put a fan behind it so it moved every now and then.
Halloween, I would like to do that. I've
Call it a social experiment.
I've put the little kid cutout peeking out the window before. I thought that was funny.
Peekaboo!
Exactly.
Yep.
So one thing we haven't talked about is orbs.
We have to.
Well, yeah.
No. They don't exist. Period.
Well, there's a caveat to that because they do exist in some situations. I hate the fact that we use orbs to cover this anomaly in pictures, but it also covers things like what they saw at Borley Church or Borley Rectory. Whichever
that wasn't an orb, though. That was.
It was a ball of light. That's an orb.
It was a ball of light. That's well, I wouldn't consider that. If somebody showed me that picture, I wouldn't say, "Oh, look, you caught an orb." I'd be like, "Bloody hell, look at that!" So.
Because I've seen balls of light in a pitch dark room before.
Yeah, and that's fine. But I guess my thing is, if your camera's catching something you didn't see, and it looks like an orb, what's really happening is, your flash or infrared light or whatever you're using, just bounced off a piece of pollen, dust, cat hair. I mean, if you took, you can recreate them quite easily. Get one of the investigators that got dangerous to scratch their head while you're taking pictures.
Gross.
You'll get orbs. But you will. I mean, it's, and then once again, the narrative goes from there. And then, blue ones are this and red ones are that. The ones with lights inside of them are the true orbs. No, they're not. That's just a reflection of the light, of the flash or infrared or whatever you're using. I mean, of course they glow. They're getting hit. No.
And I think we've talked about this before too. So when I started being interested in the paranormal, I took a class at our local community college, and we actually got a handout on orbs and what the colors meant and the shapes and how to tell what was real and, looking for faces within them. So do you think that is purely an internet-born phenomena?
I think. What do you think, Adam?
I don't know. I think it's been around long enough that I think maybe it probably started, maybe even really before the internet. I mean, I'd have to know, when people really started talking about orbs. I mean, did Ed and Lorraine Warren talk about orbs? I believe they did, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I did some research on when people really started believing in orbs, and almost everything I found correlated it to digital photography.
Right.
Because you don't get that phenomena as often in film photography. However, I do have a picture of my mom and I, for example, when I was in high school, and I know it was taken with the film camera, and there is definitely an orb between the two of us. So, is there a difference?
I look at it this way. I don't think there's anything in it. To me, it's an evolution of ghost photography from double exposures way back when. It's just an evolution like that. And everybody knows those are fake. And the same with orbs. Yes, digital cameras pick them up all the time just because of the way the pixels work, in the actual digital lens. So, but nobody takes the time to actually do the science and find out, because it's going to take away one of their beliefs that they like having. So why would you put all that effort into finding out what they really are? And
but I have the book. It's called The Orb Theory, and I started it, and I need to finish it, and I should have finished it prior to today. But these guys put a lot of effort into studying orbs.
There's a lot of science behind it, a lot of effort into string theory, and we just found out it's all a bunch of crap. It doesn't work. So, that's the thing, is you can put a lot of time and effort into things and come up empty-handed. And just because somebody, Okay, let me put it this way. So let's say there is a chance that some of them really are spirits.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is there are so many out there. How are you even going to tell the difference? How many photos do you need to go to find one? And the third thing is, when you're basing your once you come up with a picture saying this is definitely an all, what are you basing that on?
So, question for the two of you then. Do you think that it's possible to photograph spirits in that way?
I think it's possible, but, look, I just have a problem with orbs because so many people, and they get so offended. That's the other thing. When you say that's not an orb, that's a piece of dust, they feel offended. It's like, calm down. I'm sorry. It's like, to me, it's like talking to the flat earthers. I know that it's dust, and I can't get across to them. The world is not flat, it's round. It's the flat earthers. How do you get across to people that have a belief that's so strong when it's been proven time and time again to be wrong? How do you get across to people that just will not let it go?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I don't like talking about this, because it upsets people. It's kind of like, don't talk about religions.
Odd.
It is though. It's a very strong belief that people hold dearly, are attached to, and if you attack it, they don't like it, and they declare a paranormal Jesus. So.
I will say I have seen a handful of pictures that people say they saw the light and they took it. Now, in my opinion, I think that's valid. I think if you saw it with your eyes and then captured it on film, I think that's more valid. What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely. So when they start going off, go, oh, that's my Uncle Terry. That was a piece of dust. Did your titties earn over or what? You got away? How is that Uncle Terry? So no, that's fine. I believe that, if that is a piece of data, we just say this is what we saw and managed to get it on picture, I'm down for it. I'm good with it. When people take a picture and say, oh, look, there's an orb in this picture that we took, nobody saw it, and it's a piece of dust, but then they want to let it go. Mm-hmm. That's where I just drop it. Whatever, it's small, it's great. Carry on.
So, Adam, how do you handle it when people show you pictures of orbs?
Probably not like I should. I mean, honestly, usually I'm just like, yes, it's a picture.
You have never said that to somebody.
I have, actually. You're not always in the room. I'll give them, it's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, most people don't ask my opinion. They just want to show it to me. Like, hey, look what I got. Okay. I guess I probably should start being more honest with people, but then again, am I right to push, because I don't believe in them, am I right to push my belief on somebody and, crush their feelings because I don't believe? Well, I know, I agree with you on that. I just, who am I to say, well, I know better than you? Because in the grand scheme of things, I don't. I mean, I don't think they're real, but hey, guess what? I could wake up one day and be totally wrong. Somebody could totally prove us wrong. And these are all real. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just saying, somebody could have this grand picture and grand way of figuring out that, yeah, some of them are real. Okay. Well, then I've been wrong all this time. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm not right to put my opinion on people.
No, I have
maybe I'll start.
No, I have two things about that. First off, if you are a proper investigator, and you go and you investigate it, and you draw a conclusion. Your opinion is probably more valid than theirs. So it's not like you're forcing an opinion on them. If they ask you, there's nothing wrong with you saying, sorry, I've never found evidence that holds are real. You know, what you're showing me looks like a piece of dust. To me, that's fine. But, you know, and having that, well, I might wake up and might look different. You can say that about most things. I mean, every fact has a half-life until we find something else out. We deal with what we're dealt with, play with what we're dealt with, and this is what we know so far. If they ask me, I'll tell them. And sometimes I'll tell them if they don't use the old word around me.
You know, and I've got friends, and one in particular that I can think of who I like so much. He's such a good guy. And in fact, I investigate with him from time to time. I've been to Waverly with him. And he's all in on that. And I hate, like, I don't know. And he knows where I stand on it. I know where he stands on it. He still shows me stuff. And I feel bad that I can't be more excited with him about things. Now, he does have the one that I said he saw the light, took the picture, and it showed up on camera as well. And then that one, in my opinion, is a lot more interesting. But God, otherwise such smart people. And I don't mean that to be as harsh as it sounds, but gosh, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it was that made people buy in so hard. Is it Zach Bagans that made people buy in so hard to this theory? Or is it just because when it first came out, we didn't know better and couldn't cut it off at the head?
No, I think it's part of the undercurrent. I mean, there's always been that spiritualist monologue. You know, go back to the 1800s. There was ectoplasm. There's always been that underlying law that spiritualists have. You know, and orbs is just a manifestation of, you know, whatever piece of law. You know, ectoplasm finally went away. You know, but now we got orbs instead to replace it. So yeah, I just think it is. You know, it's a belief system. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, we're not going to. That's why, you know, I try and hold back on a lot of people, but, you know, where they cross the line with me is when they say, well, we're investigators and here's our evidence. And then that's when I have to go, okie dokie, let's take a look at this evidence. You know, and, you know, don't ask me.
Right.
Don't show it to me. You know, I think, because it does more harm than good. I mean, this community shoots itself in the foot so much as far as, you know, they wish scientists would listen to them. Well, scientists actually do listen, but when you come out with nonsense, of course they're going to just shrug you off. I mean, if you were sitting on a bus and the guy next to you was talking about his invisible camel and isn't it wonderful, you know, you'd be like, yeah, okay, so, you know, I'm not going to look for the camel. You know, where is it? You know, it just, I don't know. And that's why, you know, I looked into, as part of research for the book I'm writing now, I looked into the para-unity stuff, the slogans. And it's, you know, we're all after the same thing. It's the catch line on that. And no, we're not. You find out we're not after the same thing. Some people are after, you know, things being the way they believe them to be. That's what they're looking for. It's kind of like, you know, the Christian archaeologists that go out and they're just really trying to find, you know, proof of everything in the Bible, which, you know, some of it's allegory. You have to live with that. So you're not going to find it. But, you know, that's what they're really after. So my problem is coming at it from an objective point of view. I just want to know, you know, the big question is, does consciousness survive after death? That is the base thing that ghost hunters should be looking at. And looking for, it doesn't matter why they're here. You got to first prove that they're actually here. I don't care why they're here, I'll be honest with you. They've been there 100 years and around. They're probably going to be there after I'm dead if they don't get crossed over into the night. So, I don't care why they're here. What my aim is to say, look, we live on after death. We need to look at this, and a lot of this nonsense just takes the whole thing off of point. The point of why we're doing this.
Yeah. So as somebody who doesn't care quite as much about proving things, that would be me, I struggle sometimes with one of my favorite tools, and that's the ghost box. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of become a little bit of a narrative as well. And we've discussed in the past too about, we can't even agree on how it works. Is it using the radio stations or is it using the white noise? And that's something that thankfully John's helping us to, I guess, test a little bit more. But
a new radio.
You do have a new one?
Yep.
Are you going to tell us about it?
No, it's secret. No, basically, it's just an old shortwave radio that I can fine tune. So I did my first go at it on the laptop, and that's just a big pain in the butt carrying that around, and batteries die out because the laptop uses humongous amounts of energy just to do something simple like a radio. So I actually got a shortwave radio, and I made sure that we could tune it down to the wavelengths that have been reported to work. So I want to see if these things work.
Okay.
People make the claims. Let's find it.
As do I. I do feel like, though, the ghost box has kind of fallen into a little, that's taking on its own kind of narrative. Because there's a lot of people who think that the ghost box is garbage and that it's our imagination and that it's audio pareidolia. Do you two have thoughts on that?
I think some of it can be, sure. Absolutely. I mean, I think that goes with anything. I mean, if you just hear part of a word, you're going to try to make sense in your head of what the rest of that word was. I don't know how to combat that, I guess, yet. That's what we rely on John for. Sorry, dude.
I'll bust you, bro.
The rest of my paranormal investigating is all dependent on John.
What?
Nice.
Kidding.
You're in a sad state. That's true. I've always admitted that's a love hate. I got hold of one. I'm like, right, I'm gonna debunk this. But what I based my own research on, I guess it was proper research, kind of. I mean, I get into the spirit of it too, don't get me wrong, but it's if you look at the number of coincidences, so, the chances of certain things being said on a radio station at that point in time that have to do with either the question you just asked or the surroundings you're in. If it's like that, and I'll be honest with you, most of the spirit box stuff I've got, there's been hardly any direct contact. It always sounds to me like chat conversations in the background. It's what most of it sounds like to me. And I've had enough where and there's not lots and lots, but I've had enough where I'll get sentences going backwards and forwards as it's going through radio stations. So, you're like, what are the odds of that? I mean, and honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm humans are very bad at gauging odds as it is. So, so I really would like to think that it works, and I keep doing it just because, the more data I have, the better judgment call I can make, I guess. So it's fun. I mean, it is fun. I ain't gonna lie. It's like a parlor game. But, so gathering data at the same time.
Well, and one of my favorite videos that you've done is the flashcard test. Mm-hmm. And so I will post that on our social media site. So basically, John and Nico went into the Granger house, and John had pre-prepared flashcards with words on them and held them up, and there's an astounding amount of them where you can hear the word coming out. And nobody says the word. And John, correct me if I'm wrong, but even Nico didn't know what was on the flashcards.
No, the other guys didn't know. It was kind of it was two-pronged. The first one was it's kind of an Estes in that they don't have any preconceived notions.
Yeah.
Because they can't see. And then the other thing is, if there are spirits and that's what we're hearing through the radio, are they actually seeing us? Who knows? Everybody just assumes they can. They don't know why. So I thought, wow, if we use flashcards, that's two birds with one stone. And we'll do that experiment, I guess. So, yeah, it just simply was. I'm going to try it again with pictures.
Yeah. One experiment I would like to do sometime too is writing a word or a question on a note card and putting it in an envelope and asking them to say that word or answer the question or something at some point during the night. I'm interested, can they see into the envelope? What are their limits?
Well, that's why, the flashcard's good because first off, you've got to figure out if they can see at all, let alone see inside of an envelope. So I had one round of that, see how many hits you get, and then do another round later on with it being a couple of them in an envelope. Saying, okay, read envelope 1, read envelope 2, read envelope 3, see what you get, kind of deal, and then see if there's a difference in the return.
An interesting addition to that might be to ask somebody who's not present at the investigation to do the flashcards and not looking at them prior to, because there are theories that they don't see us the way we do, that it's also a psychic connection. And so even if maybe you're not conscious of the fact that you are thinking about the word on the note card, if you just read it, you are. I don't know. Just a thought.
No, these are all, experiments and this is what I love about doing a proper investigation, is thinking up experiments where if somebody gives you a piece of narrative, you say, well, if that's true, then, we should be able to test it by doing this, that, or the other. It's the same with, well, it's a given now that ghosts give off electromagnetic energy. Mm-hmm. I don't know why that's set in stone, but it is. So, we use it in there. But then, I thought, well, let's try it with, iron filings. Just leave them somewhere. If they move, then it's something basic, but it's high school science, basically. But, it's fun.
So, for you two science-minded folks, does it annoy you then to have to investigate with somebody like myself who doesn't care so much about the science and more communication?
No. It doesn't bother me any, because
you have to say that we're married.
No, I don't.
That's why I was waiting to see what he said.
No, I don't have to agree all the time.
Oh God, it's going horrible.
No, I don't have to agree with you all the time at all.
Incorrect, but go ahead.
No. The things that go on when you're not home.
God.
Oh yeah, we doing that thing again when she's gone?
Yeah.
Shut up, you two.
I really hurt my back last time though.
Oh my God. That's why he was excited to get me out of the house last weekend.
No, I think they both work together, because you don't fly off the handle on a ghost box session and run with it, and now it's all 100% true. You're still gonna do your ghost box session, but you're still gonna go back and try to correlate that with either research you've previously done or research that you're going to do. And so I think that makes a big difference than just, I heard the name, Steve, so now Steve's got to be here, and now Steve's another man, and he did, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't jump to the conclusion, because I think you might not think that you're going at it from a scientific standpoint, but doing the research and going back in history and trying to prove or disprove is still kind of being scientific in a way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't.
I never want to investigate with you again.
No, not at all. I enjoy it. I mean, we're there to have fun. I mean, as stuck up as I am.
Absolutely.
So, but we're there to have fun. But I guess the only thing that does it for me is if someone won't shut the hell up and just keeps rambling on about, oh, someone over here, and oh, it's a woman, and blah, 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 blah. You get a running commentary the whole bloody night. I'm like, just shut up. I can't hear anything. You know? So that you know, you know, and then that kind of thing, that I don't like. I don't mind people who enjoy ghost hunting and, you know, you get the heebie-jeebies and you talk and you're like, oh, what was that? And then you try things, you know, and I get into it as much as anybody else. But it's when people absolutely, you know, just, I don't know, the running commentary. Yeah, that commentary, you know, and then, but then if you watch though, see, that's the other thing that I was going to hit upon earlier is if you watch some groups, the way their social dynamic works, you'll get like the alpha person saying something and everyone will agree.
Yes.
And then it builds, and then they'll add a little bit on top of that. Now, I kind of felt that too, only it was this. And then it grows, and then between them, they'll come up this whole narration, you know.
Yes.
And if that starts happening, then I try and go somewhere else, you know, if that starts happening. I don't want people saying, hey, do you think it's this? I don't know, let's do an experiment. What can we do to find out if that's true? That's fine. I have no problem with people having a theory or an idea or saying something. But then when it's a running narration, a whole bloody investigation, and it's all true, right. And you don't do that. Adam does.
No, and unfortunately, doing public events, because we do host what we call flashlight tours at the Granger House, and they can kind of end up that way too. Somebody will come and say that they have psychic abilities and or not even say that, but then all of a sudden they're telling everybody, oh, I can feel this over here. And that can come to, you know, and there's no real way to stop that because it's part of their experience too. But no, I get what you're saying, and I'm not a huge fan of that myself either.
I'm not against it. It's just don't call that investigation. That's what gets up my nose. If you want to say, hey, let's go to a haunted place, that's fine.
Yeah.
And these people come and, you know, they're going to investigate it, and they start doing that. That's where I switch off. I'm not investigating. We're just, you enjoy it. That's fine. I'm not out there. You know, don't stop telling me all about this place because you're investigating crap.
No, I agree. No, and one thing while you were talking that completely unrelated, but I wanted to mention too, was we had talked about the Omaha Haunticon, and that was supposed to be April 4th. And due to the coronavirus, Jamie had to make a very difficult decision to move the event to September. I think it's September 26th, if memory serves correctly. So if that was something that anybody was looking into, just know that it's been moved. It wasn't an easy decision for her, and she tried very hard not to have to do that, but she had too many people ask for refunds on tickets and too many vendors start to drop out. So she had to move it. So that sucks. But I encourage, anybody, I hate that she moved it during football season. I am sorry that I put football above paranormal, but I do. And Iowa State has a home football game that day, and I'm sad that I'm not going to make it. Wham. Poor Sarah. Anyway.
Oh, football game or a parent?
No, I'm sad that I'm going to miss the Iowa State Texas Tech game because I'll be in Omaha.
So you're going to miss the game.
I'm going to miss the game and what?
You're going to miss the game? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
You're going to go to the convention?
Yes. and you're
That's
coming
not what you
because you and I are going to sit and listen to the Kling brothers, who were on, what was their show called?
Oh, shoot. Ghost Lab.
Ghost Lab, that's right.
Yep.
So I'm eager to sit next to John and get his opinion and get to talk about what he thinks of all of that.
Oh, bullshit. I just had to look. What are you talking about? That's nonsense.
Now, I will.
They are rather large fellows. So.
They are.
That's right.
I will say this, though. I thought that.
Actually, I'm open-minded.
I thought that Rob Demarest with GHI, I expected him to come on and kind of be a joke. And he blew me out of the water and, in fact, has some amazing thoughts on the paranormal field, very in line with what, the three of us think, and taking it even further for that matter. So, I'm hoping that they kind of do the same thing, that maybe, they had this somewhat goofy show. I mean, they weren't super goofy. Their stuff was just a little extreme sometimes, but I'm hoping that they're going to come out and talk and really kind of blow it away and have some really good information and not be presenting just narratives to us. Because too many speakers do that. Too many people do that.
Which is why I don't usually.
Right, but you're going to go to this.
Despite appearances, I am kind of open-minded. Otherwise, I wouldn't.
Kind of open-minded, he says.
Well, I wouldn't be doing that solo. But I won't sit there and let me shovel down horses down my throat either. It's like, hey, hang on a minute.
No, and I will say you've been a good sport because there have been a few speakers that we've been present together. God, what's his name with the Dybbuk box? I really thought it was interesting. John thought he was
Jason
full of shit. Yes, Jason Haxton. John thought he was full of shit, but John was very respectful the whole time.
Well, it's an thing. You're not going to ruin other people's education. I have my opinion. That's fine. I don't need to tell you my opinion. Hopefully he's not listening.
He is overseas right now, so I doubt he is. He's a very busy man, and he is constantly on the go. So I doubt he has much time to listen to us anyway.
He's not one of our three listeners.
Right. Well, we are just over an hour, so let's wrap this up. Do you guys have any parting thoughts on narratives, advice to people who kind of have based everything they've been doing thus far on narratives?
Don't let the narrative, that your preconceived notion on what's going to happen when you do a investigation, be so large that when something does happen, it doesn't live up to your expectations. Because we've had that happen with quite a few people. They go into it thinking they're going to have a big grand experience, and something little happens, and I hear from them, well, just this happened, and I'm like, that'd be enough to excite me.
Just the piano played once.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. The
is that all?
Playing on its own. I mean, it was not enough to excite them, and that was very disappointing to me because that would be very exciting to me.
I'd love it if it happened to me.
Yeah.
And I'd really love it if I got it on camera or something. But there you go.
Right. So that's one thing. If you're going to go in with some kind of preconceived notion, don't forget about the little things, because you'll miss out on a lot of cool stuff if you don't. That's my.
I guess mine is the same as yours, really. I mean, anything that's really going on is going to be subtle. So you've got to watch for it. You've got to have some kind of discipline. Now, if you're going there to enjoy the evening and scare and, scare each other and talk stories, and that's fine too. I got nothing against that, what people do in their own spare time. But if you want to be an investigator that's, worthy of the name at least, You got to leave all this mumbo jumbo, and a lot of it is mumbo jumbo. Sorry, I'm not. It can't all be right. Think about that. It can't all be right, because if it was, the he goes all over the place and we'd be seeing them all the time, which we don't. And they'd be a known fact, but they're not. We've been doing this over 100 years, and we still got bugger all nothing. So, leave it at the door, and if you have an idea, think of an experiment that you can do that will have a result if what you're thinking is true. That's the thing. And document everything. Get it on camera.
That's what I was going to say. Keep a log of what you're doing too.
But all this is just away with the story. Anybody can do that.
Yeah. I guess for me, I would say, like John said, I think it's important to write down everything that you do. I believe personally that the best evidence you can come back with is taking something from your investigation and finding something historically to back it up. So, for example, if you get a name over the ghost box or an EVP, and then you're able to find that person and the connection they may have had to the community or the building or what have you, in my opinion, that's pretty strong evidence. Now, not everybody's going to take it that way, and that's fine. Don't go there knowing the names. Do that afterward, because otherwise you are more likely to be looking for that name, and just go into places and be open to the experience that it's going to hand you. Each building's different and each night is different at buildings, and you don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but just being open to see what happens. You never know, as I mentioned before, we went into Edinburgh and didn't think anything happened, and we listened to our recorders and there was all kinds of things happening. So just because it's not right in front of your eyes doesn't mean it's not taking place. So, go in without, like the guy said, without the expectation of what's going to happen, and don't assume that you know why this place is haunted, because we really don't. It's like going to the urgent care. You might think you know why everybody is there, but you really don't. So, yeah, I guess listen.
That guy's missing a leg. I can pretty much guess why he's here.
Well, some of them you can.
The last little thing that I would probably say would be, don't be afraid of nothing happening, because a negative result could be a positive result if you look at it from a different perspective. Oh my God. We got the worship of John Black over here. You two sound exactly the same. I don't. I don't sound British at all. Oh my God.
Thanks, Adam. I'll give you that $20 later. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, even nothing is a result. The other thing that I find important is repetition, because going from place to place to place to place, you're never dealing with the same thing. So if you go to the same places, and you can then pin down if certain things happen more often in this place than in that place, or would it work if you're getting, even if if you don't know, if you get the same names over and over, let's say from the spirit box or something, make sure it's not the name of the DJ, and then you'll be fine. So yeah, that's repetition, I think, because it gives you a bigger data pool. So actually, a survey of one person isn't much of a survey. So just keep plugging at it. Even if nothing happens, go back at least 2 or 3 times. If you go back 3 times, you get nothing in 3 times, chances are the place ain't haunted. So, and be ready for that too. So
you're not prepared to say Villisca is not haunted?
No, I'd go back again. The only reason I don't like the place is, I don't think it is haunted, but I can't say it's not haunted because I've only been once. The other thing is, it's really small, it's really bloody expensive. And when we went there, they had units running that were louder than my furnace. I mean, you're never going to hear anything,
Right.
So, it's not amiable to proper investigation. But I'll go again. You know, like I say, it's a fun thing to do anyway. So
true enough. We might get there sometime. All right, so let's wrap it up. As I mentioned, you can find John's book, Leaps of Faith, on our Facebook page, Seeking the Paranormal. We are also on Instagram and Twitter, so you can find us there. If you want to check in with John, tell us where we can find you.
PhantomScience.net, with all the links to Facebook and YouTube and podcasts and all other things that I get up to or we get up to that we probably shouldn't, but we do.
And you guys are on Paranormal Buzz Radio and Spreaker on Sundays.
Yep, Sundays 7 Central, 8 Eastern. And yeah.
Or like ourselves, anywhere great podcasts can be found.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to find me, I am C Paranormal Sarah on Twitter and Facebook. So you can always stop in there, give us some feedback, ask some questions. If you've got an idea or something you want us to talk about, leave it there. We would be happy to discuss it. Have an opinion, that's great too. People don't anymore, apparently. Whatevs.
Another listener we will never get back.
Exactly. All right. So our next episode, so we're every other Monday now, in case you haven't caught on to that, and you maybe listen to us after the fact. So that's why we have less episodes now. Our next episode, we're going to talk about some of the real pioneers of this community, not named Zach Baggins. Like real people that you should know about if you're going to be involved in this.
You're telling me Zach Baggins is a fake?
Damn.
Why am I just hearing about this now? That's horseshit.
I know.
It's horseshit. My life is over.
Oh my
Who's Zach Baggins?
All right.
He's the great plagiarist. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. On that note, everyone, we are going to say goodbye. Stay safe, stay well, and we will talk to you next time.
Am I right?